Greetings, dear ones, and hello from All Saints Orthodox Church on South Fairfax Road in Bloomington, Indiana. Father Peter John here. Christ is in our midst. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit more about the prophet Elisha. Elisha had an experience in today's reading from 2 Kings chapter 7, where he was in the city of Samaria, the capital of Israel, and the armies of Syria had surrounded the city. They were basically choking them out. They were starving them out. Horrible, horrible situation. The people inside the city are starving to death. And the Syrian army is outside waiting basically for the people inside the walls to crack so that they can conquer the city. Well, the king sees this misery that's going on, and it really is misery. It's horrific, and I will not go into detail, but he sees what's going on. He tears his clothes at the revelation of the enormity of the misery in the city. And beneath his torn clothes, the people see that he's actually wearing sackcloth. And he becomes very angry. And he begins to blame God for what's happening, and he decides that Elisha needs to be killed because Elisha's working for God, and God, after all, is the one who caused this to happen. So the king sends a messenger on ahead, and the king is going too, to go to Elisha's house and to get him. And when Elisha knows what is happening, he tells the other men that are with him in the house to close the door. And so the messenger comes to the door and delivers the message to Elisha, basically that this is God's fault, and how much longer are we supposed to wait for God to fix it? And Elisha says, "Hear the word of the Lord." He says, "Tomorrow about this time, a seah of fine flour shall be sold for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel, at the gate of Samaria." In other words, here they are starving to death. They're literally starving to death. And Elisha's prophecy is, tomorrow about this time, there will be more food than anybody knows what to do with. As a matter of fact, there will be so much food that the value of food will be incredibly low because everybody will have so much. Seems impossible, right? Well, that's what the king's right-hand man has, so thinks too. So the king's right-hand man says to him, "Look, even if the Lord would make windows open in heaven, could this thing really be?" And Elisha says, "It will be, but you shall not taste of it." Well, about this time, there are 4 lepers that are at the gate. They're also starving to death, and they're not sure what to do. They say, "You know what? If we go into the city, then we're going to starve to death because there's no food there. And if we stay here at the gate, we're going to starve to death because there's no food here. But if we go out and we visit the Syrians in their camp, they're either going to kill us, which is okay because we're going to die anyway, or they're going to feed us and, take us captive and whatever else, and then we'll live." So, of all of these options, that's definitely the best one. So these 4 lepers go out as the sun is setting. They go out to the Syrian encampment. And it's huge, tents everywhere, right? They go out and they're looking for somebody to surrender to. But there's nobody there. And they look all around and they see all this food and they see jewels and clothing and everything, and there's nobody there. So they decide they're going to loot the place. So they take all these handfuls of goods and they go and they hide them. And they come back and take all of this gold and silver and all of this stuff. And they go and they hide it again. They come back a third time and they go, "Wait a minute, what are we doing? We're going to get in so much trouble here. We better go tell the king that there's nobody here." So they go and they tell the king, "King, there's nobody here. All of the army, it's gone. The Syrian army is just gone. Their tents are there and all their stuff is there, but there's no soldiers there." The king says, "This is a trick. They're going to ambush us." So he decides to send out some scouts to go find out what's going on. The scouts go out and they look and they see that the road leading from the encampment is littered with clothing, with weapons, everything. and that the Syrians had abandoned their camps. Now, what really happened? Nobody knew what happened at the time, but what we know what happened. What happened actually is this, and we're told this, that God caused the Syrian army to hear hooves, horses, the sound of a great army approaching, and they panicked. They realized, wait a minute, the king of Israel has made a deal with the surrounding nations, and they've all come together and brought this big, huge army, and they're going to destroy us. Run for your lives. So they all just take whatever they're doing, they stop what they're doing, and they start running away back towards Syria. Every single one of them. They left all of their food. They left their jewelry, their gold, their silver, their clothing, everything they had. All their horses are even tied up. They just went running. So the king says to his right-hand man, the one who had said, how is this possible, even if the heavens were open? He says to him, you go man the gate, and we're going to let people go out incrementally and get stuff so that everybody has food to eat. Well, that didn't work. So the king's right-hand man is trying to watch the gate, and there's such a stampede of people going out to eat and to feed their children that the king's right-hand man is killed, is crushed. And so Isaiah's prophecy was fulfilled, that in fact, 24 hours later, everybody had more than enough to eat, and there was so much left over that food had little monetary value. And that the king's right-hand man, who had doubted God's ability to do this, in fact, did not taste of it. So brothers and sisters, what does this mean? Well, I'm going to tell you what. This is such a powerful story. It means that no matter how bleak things look, God always has a way out for us. But we have to trust him with it. We have to trust that God provides, that he's not forgotten us, that he knows where we are, that he knows who we are, as it says in Jeremiah, that he knows us even from our mother's womb, that he knows everything that we need, that we trust him with all of it. With all of it. That's the kind of faith we should have in our Lord, who provides everything that we need. He even provides for the birds of the air, as we know. So may God grant us the faith to seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and to trust him to provide everything else. Christ is in our midst. He is and ever shall be.